Hello, beautiful people. Hello, beautiful queens. Trust we are doing great. So, a client reached out to me that she wanted lemonade, and this was when I was done with the lemonade. That is just the braiding of the lemonade. I did a 35 inches long lemonade. Then later on, she came back and said she wants a twist to it. She wants the Koroba style. I said, okay, since the length is long, definitely we'll be able to do the Koroba style. And I started with it. There were so many things I learned from this particular style. Though she sent the sample she needed and the size of the Koroba was a little big, so I felt, well, since my length was long, definitely I will get that exact size of Koroba or the circle that really makes up Koroba. I started work. As you can see, the way to do this particular style is you roll before you sew. You roll it, then you sew it. You roll it or you tack it. And you have to do it slowly, very slowly. There are so many things, as I said, I learned from this time. One of it is the color of thread you need to use. It's very important. If you want to have a very good finishing, you have to put into consideration the color of thread. The color need to blend with your braid, the color of your braid. You need to blend. Not that you'll be doing your braid is bungidi and you are using color red thread. No, it won't blend at all. In fact, you will not like the end result of it. So initially, when I wanted to get my thread, I felt, okay, since this is silvery white, that is the braid itself is silvery white, then I can get a white thread. Guess what? That white thread did not blend with the silvery white at all. It was off because I wanted it to look I wanted the thread to blend with it, that when someone else look at it, the thread would not be visible. That's where you get a neat job. The thread won't be visible. So when I started with the white thread, it wasn't coming out very well. I had to go back and look for off-white. So I use off-white thread for this particular style. So I continue with the process of it. Then I learned other things that you need to be slow when it comes to this style. If you want to rush it, at the end result of it, you won't like it because you definitely add hot water to it. You do the treatment of it. And when you do the treatment of it, if the circle, that is the koroba, is not firm enough, if it is not tight, then it will come out loose because the hot water will loosen it. So that means the process of doing the koroba, you need to do it very tight. And the only way you do it very tight is when you do it slowly. Because as you are rolling it and tacking it, you need to pass, or your thread needs to pass all layers of the braid that you've rolled. All layers. You can see I'm taking my time to pass the needle through the layers that I've rolled. And as your circle gets bigger, as it gets bigger, it will become very difficult for your needle to pass through it. So that's when this comes in. You don't need to use a very long thread. That was one of the mistake I made. I used a very long thread. In fact, I love using long thread. But that day I discovered that long thread does not work for this because your thread will get tangled. Passing it through it as it gets bigger becomes very difficult. In fact, my fingers were paining me. I started experiencing pains. So I was checking the size and how it goes and the length. And I also discovered that, though, as I said, this was my first attempt of making this particular style. I also discovered that as you are sewing it, it gives you back and front view of that circle. So it's now left for you to know where to place your back, because no matter how you pass your thread, there are some points where the thread will be a little bit visible. That's where using the color of thread that will blend with your braid comes in, something very close. So even if it's the thread is visible, but when the colors are very close, then it's the thread won't be how will I put it now, then it won't really look that bad compared to when the thread, the color of the thread is not the color of the thread does not matches the color of your braids. So I noticed that there was a back view and also front view, so I was careful with it. So when it comes to the length was not even at all. I have the starting point and the ending point, and in between, the length of the other braids in between will not be even. You understand what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to say is that the first one, which is this particular one I was doing, it should be at the lips. That's the length for this one. Should be at the lips. So I was checking it to see that yes, it was actually at the lips, and where to place as my front view before I do the final tacking as my front view and my back view. And I did that, and I used the same process with other braids. As you've seen, we have the starting point, the first one I did, which was at the lips length. Then it should not exceed the shoulder length. That was what I was told. It should not exceed the shoulder length. So other braids in between were not even in length. Some were short, some were long, while some were midway in length. So I did all of this to use the same process rather for all the braids, taking my time to roll and tack, and also put into consideration my front and back view. This was even late at night that I did. This stage was even late at night, so I continue with it. I did the same process for everything, rolling and tacking it. So as you proceed with this, you discover so many other things. You can see that it was even very difficult to pass the needle through it. So that's why I said using a short length was better off. Short length thread was better off because it helps you to know how to control your thread. It helps you to know how to, that is, control your thread. That's just it. If not, you'll be experiencing difficulties when passing your thread through it. And as I roll, I was making sure that everything was well aligned, not that it would be dangling. Because if it dangles, if it is not well aligned, it becomes very difficult at the end of the day. So just imagine at the end of everything, when you've done your treatment, that's when you see that the circle or the koroba is not firm enough. It's just dangling, it's so soft. Meaning you will lose it all over and start all over again. You will lose it and start all over. And trust me, it's not an easy job at all. It wasn't easy at all. So you see, I was taking my measurements to know the actual length. I'll place this particular braid because it should not exceed the shoulder, the human shoulder, not the doll shoulder. It should not exceed the shoulder length. So I was careful with it. When I measure, I see that I need to reduce the length, then I'll roll and tack. If I check it hasn't gotten to my desired length, I'll roll and tack. So when I get to my desired length, that's when I'll now do the final tacking, that is tighten it the more so that it will not loose when I add hot water to it. So another thing we have to put into consideration is the size of the koroba, that is the circle. If you want it to be very big, then the length of your braid needs to be very long. I used 35 inches braid, but it didn't really give me the size I wanted. I wanted it very big. So I continue with this process. Then I did the final tacking for it. You can see how beautiful it is, even if final look of it after the treatment and everything, and this how it came out. Isn't it beautiful? So thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.